Welcome to another 21 Hats Dashboard brought to you by our sponsor, The Great Game of Business. I'm Loren Feldman, and I'm here with Gene Marks to talk about the things we think business owners should be following this week. Welcome, Gene.
Hey, wait, hold on for a second. I just got to finish up this game of business. Just give me a second.
Gene.
All right, and final roll of the dice. Great, I won the game of business, and it was a great game.
Business is not a game, Gene. It's serious business.
It is serious business. Well, it's great to speak with you, and happy Monday.
Missed you last week. Happy to have you back. And yes, happy Monday.
Thank you.
Gene, you're always writing about stuff that matters to business owners. You recently wrote about the problem of employees stealing from owners. Normally, when you talk about employees stealing, I think you mean it metaphorically. In this case, I think you meant it literally. And you cited some examples. Is this a significant problem? Is this something?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is a significant problem. I mean, I've always been obsessed by this topic. I've written about this a bunch of times over the years because I love it. It fascinates me when people steal from their employers. You know, I mean, because it's unusual to do. I mean, it's not like a common thing. I mean,
I hope so.
Yeah, people are honest, and when you hear people stealing, you know, you're like, how do these people? Number one, think they're going to get away with this long term, and then how do they sleep at night? I mean, I would be just shitting myself if I was taking money from my employer, you know. And
sure,
any day now they're gonna catch me. There was like one woman. I decided to write the story because one story caught my eye. Was like in Chicago, and some woman was found to have purchased $1.5 million worth of chicken wings. You know, over
yes, I read that, and she was You think she was reselling them or something, right?
Absolutely. I mean, she was like,
she didn't eat $1.5 million worth of chicken wings.
Well, you've never been out with me after I've had a few, but you know, you're right. Most people can't do that. She was like ordering. This is for a school district. It wasn't a small business, but you know, she was in charge of ordering and receiving and doing the accounting. So naturally, she would order these chicken wings, receive the chicken wings, and wipe it off the books. And then, and then approve it. Nobody else had approval authority. And then she would intercept the chicken wings before they came into the warehouse, put the chicken wings in the trunk of her car, and then I guess take the chicken wings to, you know, bars and restaurants and sell them, black market chicken wings, you know? So if any of you guys are ever eaten like a chicken wing in the Chicago area and it kind of tastes a little bit like a tire, you'll know where it came from. But that got discovered because they had like a budget overages, you know? And someone also noticed yeah, they had a $300,000. It was only, she bought $1.5 million worth of chicken wings, but they only had a $300,000 budget overage. That caught the eye. I'm not quite sure how that correlates. You would think it'd be $1.5 million. And then, But here was the big red flag. It turns out they never even served chicken wings at the school, the entire district. And yet they had $1.5 million worth of chicken wings purchased. Like they're using it for, but anyway.
So you had a bunch of good suggestions for how businesses can avoid this. Yeah. My favorite was you seem to be suggesting that if you think an employee might be stealing, make them take a vacation.
Yeah, that is. I mean, first of all, in the article, this is on entrepreneur.com. I wrote, I rounded up a bunch of, you know, different cases of employees stealing from their employers. And yeah, there's lots of things you can do to protect fraud. But, and I'm talking here as an accountant here, you know, so, you know, I'm putting on the hat. You learn this like in accounting 101. But, you know, you make your employees, particularly your financial employees, take vacation. You know, whenever I dig into when a fraud gets found out, the vast majority get found out when somebody is gone from the office. They got hit by a bus. They tripped over a root. They had to, suddenly there was a death in the family and they had to go to a funeral for a week or whatever. And somebody fills in and then they're like, this doesn't seem very kosher. Like
fresh eyes.
Yeah. So it's a fresh set of eyes. So not only does it help to train somebody in somebody's job anyway, in case that person leaves, but if you've got that financial employee that never seems to, you know, take a vacation because they're such a hard worker, that's not a good thing. That's a potentially bad thing. So my recommendation is, you know, for anybody running a business, anybody that's touching money or something, financial transactions in general, they need to be required to take vacation with another set of eyes doing their job. That is an absolute, you know, probably the biggest thing you do. And then the other stuff, which is easier said than done, is you really want to try segregating duties. You know, have one person do the ordering, one person do the receiving, one person doing the accounting, one person doing the invoicing, and another person receiving the cash. You know, that kind of stuff is really important to do. for different sets of eyes. So the segregation of duties is tough. Now it's tougher for a small business because you don't have as many employees. So one shortcut you can take is this: your bank reconciliations. Just cough up a few bucks and have an outsider do them for you. Like hire an outside accountant or a bookkeeper, for a couple hours a month to do your bank recs, because they can go through and discover any anomalies, weird looking potential authorizations or signatures or weird looking vendors. A lot of times bank reconciliations can show if there's a potential fraud taking place.
I think you also suggested that the owner needs to step in every now and then and spend a little time reviewing certain things.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, I like to recommend this to, a lot of business owners, particularly when I speak. It's like, just, once a month, like print out your general ledger. I know it ain't Hustler magazine. I get it, but it's like your general
Too much
ledger,
information,
like,
Gene.
Yeah, you're right. I think Hustlers, is that even in print? I don't even know. I have to ask my 12-year-old self. But if you print your general ledger, that's got all the details of your business. It's the diary of your business. So it's boring, but you sit down for a half an hour with a cup of coffee or a shot of Jack Daniels, depending on how the month went, and read through that general ledger and circle any items that you think kind of pop out of you that look unusual. I'm hoping, that they can all be addressed by your accountant or bookkeeper, but you looking at them and asking questions will not only get answers for you, but it'll also let those people know that, you're looking at this stuff, and that will also help as well.
All right, next topic. You wrote recently for the Philadelphia Inquirer about how businesses can get money to train their employees. You were talking about what's available in, I think, Pennsylvania and New Jersey, but this is true around the country as well, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. And I'm glad you chose this because this blew my mind. First of all, yes, what you and I are about to talk about, if you're listening to this and you're in Illinois or California or Texas, pretty much every state has the same thing. But let me just talk about Pennsylvania because I wrote it for the Philly Inquirer. Yeah, I mean, these, I spoke to 3 or 4 manufacturers, small manufacturers in the Philly area. And, it was Carla was one of them, by the way. So shout out to her. She listens to this podcast.
Carla Trotman.
Yeah. She listened to this and she was awesome. And in fact, there's a big picture of her in the Inquirer for her as well. So you're welcome, Carla. But she was great. And she belongs to an organization called, it's the Southeast Pennsylvania Manufacturing Alliance. And they get funding from the state for workforce training grants. And I'm using Carla as an example. She goes to that alliance. She needs to get her employees trained on anything from HR to specific training on how to operate a piece of equipment. We're going to bring in a trainer for a few days to teach our people, and we have to pay them $2,000 a day. It costs, but she gets that training done. And then she submits it to this alliance, and the alliance gets the money from the state, from this workforce development grant, and then reimburses up 75% of her training costs. 75%. So I spoke to her and a few other people that they spend they incur tens of thousands of dollars of training a year, and they get 75% of it covered by the state. And that is not only upskilling their employees, their current employees, which then makes them obviously better and more skilled and better suited to train entry-level people, but then it also provides resources to get training for those entry-level people. I mean, everybody's whining and moaning about we don't have enough unskilled employees, skilled employees out there. Well, here you can bring them on and have your state pay to get them trained and up to speed. So and it's not just a manufacturing thing. I talked to another guy who I couldn't include in the article for space reasons, but he's in the tech industry. And he belongs to a technology association, which gets funding from the state of Pennsylvania. And, his people need to get Microsoft certified or some new whatever, or how to get trained in AI so they can infiltrate and take over weapon systems in the Department of Defense. I'm not kidding. I'm just kidding about that. But he gets paid to have these employees trained through the state grants. So research this at your state because they all have these workforce development grants, and it's so many people don't even know they exist.
Yeah, the point you were just referring to, and that I think Carla made in the article that I loved is, in a tight labor market, to be able to upskill your existing employees so that you don't have to hire skilled employees, you can hire entry-level employees. That seems like a huge deal.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Carla specifically told me, like, the more that she can get her employees trained, it's then easier for her just to go home and take a nap in the middle of the afternoon, which she really appreciates. I'm just kidding, Carla. If you're listening, you're not going home and taking a nap. Okay, just kidding.
All right. Next topic. Thanks to the pandemic, you wrote about how restaurants have had to adjust their business models, and the result is they're kind of becoming tech companies. You wrote about all the tech they need to just run a restaurant these days. Give us a sense of that.
Yeah, I mean, really, the tech is all revolves around their point of sale systems, And you must have seen this as well, Loren. Like you go in, there's been a lot of upgrades in point of sale systems at restaurants, at least the ones that know what they're doing. And they are really leaning heavily on their point of sale systems because I interviewed like a guy from Toast. That's one of them that's out there. There's plenty of other good ones. Toast is very good. These guys, they provide the ability to manage inventory, take orders, and then also do orders online as well, all together in one place. They all now come with the ability for QR codes to like place the orders. It goes right into the system, and then a lot of their staff now are coming to tables finally, because this has been going on in London for like 100 years. But now finally I'm seeing people in Philadelphia come to my table with a point of sale device, so I could just pay like right there.
I sense some frustration in your voice, Gene.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's like, there's like a restaurant right near me that we go to all the time. Love them. But it's like it's still with the check. Okay, I'll take the check. They come there, they give me the check. I look at the check, then I give them the credit card. They go back to the cash register. They put the check there, then they come back with the check so I can sign it with a pen. I'm signing it with a pen and then leaving a tip, and then I'm walking away with this paper receipt. And I'm like, we have been doing this forever. I mean, when I go to London, that never happens. You go and they bring up the device to you. It's and you just snap the device with your credit card and you're done. You get the receipt, emailed to you. Finally, some restaurants are starting to do this in America, which is good to see. And a lot of these, point of sale systems are leading the charge. The other thing that they're doing, which I also like, and I didn't mention it in the piece, but I thought I would, is the whole tipping thing. I forget if you and I might have talked about this in the past, but like the whole, you go in for like a coffee and now like you have to, it asks you if you want a tip.
We have talked about this, and it's showing up in places you're being asked to give tips for things you didn't used to give tips for.
Yeah, and it's becoming a real conversation. Like I ordered some takeout falafel from some place in Philly, and like the ordering system wouldn't let me go unless I left either a tip or left a 0% tip. And I'm like,
which doesn't feel good.
No, I'm thinking like I'm going to get a falafel with a bunch of saliva inside of it. So I might as well leave like a tip, you know what I mean? Just to make sure it's really strong arming you. But for a business, I think that's kind of cool for the business owner because it's great for their employees. The more money they make, the more happy they are in their job. Business owner ain't paying for it.
I don't know if you saw it, but there was a development on this last week that I highlighted in the morning report. The IRS wants to change tipping rules. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. I mean, they're going to be addressing how they're taxed because
there hasn't been a lot of compliance, and they want to take it straight from those point of sale systems that you were talking about.
That is correct, and I think that is a great it's a great point. I mean, the tipping compliance has been tough, and it's not just the IRS; it's also the states want to get on the action as well.
Sure.
Of course, because there's money to be had. But listen, I mean, like I said, it's a real opportunity. I mean, I was thinking like there's like a bakery across the street from where I live, which we love, and we buy our bread there. It's like $8 for a loaf of bread. I can't even, but it's it's fresh stuff. And I go in there, and I leave a tip there. We never used to tip because they had a tip jar, and who carries cash? But now I leave $1 tip or a $2 tip, and everybody's doing that.
So the bread's $10 now.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you know what? Everybody's doing that. I noticed in line, and like these employees now are fine. They're getting paid pretty good. Good for them. And again, the business owner who runs that bakery, it takes a little pressure off of her because her employees are making the money that way. And so these are all the technologies that I think that are helping not only just employees but the business owners as well.
All right, last topic. This is not a story you wrote, although you wrote something related. We'll get to that. But I'd like to get your opinion. The Economist recently ran a piece that argued that the U.S. economy is doing far better than most other advanced economies, and much better than most Americans seem to realize. I think there's something to that. What do you think?
So if you look at a map of the U.S. economy that's broken down by GDP by state compared to countries, it is, I mean, Loren, the entire economy of California, I think, is the fourth or fifth biggest economy in the world.
Well, you're right on. Let me give you a stat that was in that story. America's GDP last year was 25.5 trillion, which represented fully 25% of the world's total GDP.
Yeah. It's crazy. California's economy alone is bigger than all of the UK. I know this by heart because I show this map when I do like presentations. Texas economy is bigger than Canada. Florida's economy is bigger than Mexico. North Carolina's economy is bigger than Sweden's economy. And Sweden is my favorite country because that's where ABBA comes from. Pennsylvania is bigger than South Korea. It can go on. We live in a giant economy, and like you said, that represents 25% of the entire world's economy. That's why when people say to me, like, "Oh, is the dollar going to lose, its status in the world? Is people going to go to? They're going to like what the Chinese yuan is going to become the main currency? Like people want to, people want the dollar. People want to come into this country." Because the economy is what it is and the opportunities are what they are. And this past year, so I wrote a piece for The Hill, and we're all trying to predict when this recession is going to happen. Because
we've been predicting it here for about 8 months, I think.
Yeah, it's been going on and on. When's the recession? Where's the recession? Where's the recession? When's the recession coming? Of course, it's the Republicans that are asking that question. The Democrats are like, we're not seeing a recession. We're doing fine. They're like, it's 40-year low in unemployment. So, okay. So when's it going to come? So I looked at demand. I'm like, we have all these stats and metrics and economic indicators, but fuck it. I mean, it's demand. It's supply and demand in an economy. And yeah, over the past 3 months, the demand for vehicles, the demand for durable goods, restaurant sales, retail sales, plateauing and tapering a little bit. So we're kind of heading into a slowdown in this economy. If you just look at, because supply seems to be fine now, we had those issues, but if you just look at demand of all the major goods that consumers buy, and in the end, it all winds up at the consumer's hands, it's definitely trending down. Okay. So, not a great sign, but taking a step back though, even trending down, the levels of sales of like vehicles, for example, retail sales, durable goods, still like all-time highs, still significantly higher than what they were even a year ago. And this, don't even say, oh, it's inflation, because vehicle sales, units of vehicles in this country are up like 9% over a year ago, So, and you and I see this all the time, right, Loren? I mean, I talk to my clients, they had a good year. I mean, even my rightest of right clients will all admit, like, yeah, the economy's going good, but I know that recession's coming, damn it, because Biden sucks, It's, yeah, okay, maybe there is going to be a slowdown coming, but can we all like agree that the economy has been churning pretty damn good the past couple of years? Now, again, it's a big country, so if you're in tech, you're not so thrilled, and if you're in commercial construction, you're pretty scared of people working from home. But yeah, retail's recovered, restaurants recovered.
There has been recession in certain industries. I mean, housing has been tough.
Of course, in certain areas of the country as well.
Right.
Depending. But then again, you got Texas and Florida, and you've got convention, visitors. I was just in Nashville this past week. Places like bumping, it's like crowded and busy, and my airplane was packed. There was a big smelly guy sitting next to me that was coughing the entire flight, and nothing to do about that. So you know what I mean? Like, to your point in the Economist article is that it's been a very resilient, strong economy because this country's fucking great. That's the reason why.
Anything you're working on that we should know about? Look for this week?
Yeah, what am I working on this week? Yeah, I'm working on a story. It's Philly based, but it has national inferences about resources for women entrepreneurs, which kind of interests me as to what is out there and what's new for women entrepreneurs. So that's definitely one thing that I'm working on. And then also just coming out as well is just a piece for The Guardian, which actually came out yesterday, Sunday, and it's all about it is all about interest rate impacts. They're really starting to have their impact on businesses. We talk about the economy. It's I am seeing that. And that's something we can talk about.
Which hit the housing industry first, mortgages.
And trickled down.
And now it's spreading.
It's spreading because, it's the interest sensitive industries get hit, tech, housing, and now consumers are going to start getting hit. It's happening. So, I think that's contributing to softening in demand as well. So,
all right, we will look for that. I'm sure we will talk about it in the future. Gene Marks is a CPA who writes weekly on small business for The Guardian, The Hill, The Philadelphia Inquirer, The Washington Times, The Chicago Daily Herald, Forbes, and Entrepreneur. You can also hear him on ABC Radio's Eye on the World with John Batchelor. Gene hosts 2 small business podcasts with Paychex Corporation and The Hartford. This episode was brought to you by The Great Game of Business. Right, Gene?
The Great Game of Business. I love those guys. Do you want to talk some more about them?
No. I was just giving you an opportunity in case you had something lined up.
I do love those guys.
The Great Game of Business helps businesses use open book management to help build healthier companies. You can learn more at greatgame.com. Thank you, Gene.
Thanks, Loren. We'll see you next week.
Have a great week, everyone.